It has been exactly 2 years since the Gaza war started. October 7, 2023 was the date. And since then, over 67,000 lives have been lost. The enclave is filled with death and utter destruction. It's a shadow of its former self. More than 2 million Gazans living in the midst of that humanitarian crisis, out of shelter, out of food, continuously displaced from one end to the other amid the Israeli strikes and warnings. In neighboring Egypt, meanwhile, mediators from both Hamas and Israel are set to hold another round of their indirect talks aimed at ending that war, based on a plan backed by US President Donald Trump. And the Egyptian state-linked media reporting that the first round of talks on Monday concluded in a positive atmosphere. Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson said many details of Trump's Gaza plan need to be worked out, while Hamas said it is attempting to overcome any kind of obstacles in implementing the Trump-backed plan to end the war. Listen to this.
The movement's delegation, participating in the current negotiations in Egypt, seeks to overcome all obstacles to achieving an agreement that meets the aspirations of our people and our people in Gaza.
But amid all of this, the war in Gaza continues. Israeli tanks, boats, jets, allegedly pounded parts of Gaza today. Residents in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza and Gaza City in the north reported heavy bombing from tanks and planes in the early hours. Displaced Gazans are hoping that the talks in Egypt finally lead to a ceasefire.
Today is October 7th. It's been 2 years that we are living in fear, horror, displacement, and destruction. We are living a difficult life in bitterness and misery. We are hoping with these new negotiations to reach a ceasefire and a final end to the war. We are exhausted from this journey, and it has been 2 very difficult years for us.
And on the other side, Israelis paused to the memorial sirens heard across various parts of the country, marking the 2nd anniversary of the October 7 attacks. Like many Gazans, Israelis are also demanding for the war to end.
Sound of the guns that we hear right now, we don't understand it. We want that the peace will stop, the fire will stop, so all the hostages will come back. And to finish this that all the hostages will come back and we'll close this event.
And earlier today in Jerusalem, families of hostages and supporters protested outside the residence of the Israeli Prime Minister, calling for the release of all the hostages. While in Indonesia, hundreds of pro-Palestine protesters rallied outside the US Embassy in Jakarta, demonstrating against American support for Israel and the ongoing violence in Gaza. Similar scenes also witnessed in Sydney, where a small group of supporters gathered to attend a rally in support for the people of Gaza.
Genocidal murderers.
And as the war is now in the 3rd year, 2 years since the war started, tensions in West Asia continue to simmer. In an interview, in fact, the Israeli Prime Minister has alleged that Iran is currently developing intercontinental ballistic missiles which could potentially reach major cities on its east coast, like Washington, D.C., New York, Boston, Miami. Netanyahu claiming that Iran's ballistic missiles have a potential range of nearly 8,000 kilometers, and with another 3,000 kilometers, the entire U.S. East Coast is within its target range. Within Israel, Netanyahu's unpopularity continues to be in the focus. An Israeli poll stating that 64% of Israelis believe Netanyahu should bear responsibility for the October 7 attack and resign. As international and domestic pressure continues to mount, all eyes remain on the Gaza talks in Egypt. He is the man who has survived wars, airstrikes, assassination attempts, and today, Khalil al-Hayya stands as one of the most powerful surviving faces of Hamas. Just last month, the 64-year-old escaped an Israeli air raid in Doha that targeted the group's senior leadership, and weeks later, he re-emerged in Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh, leading Hamas in indirect talks with Israeli negotiators over a new Gaza peace plan backed by US President Donald Trump. Once a local leader in Gaza, he has evolved into Hamas's chief negotiator, a man whose influence has grown sharply as others around him have died in Israeli strikes. With the deaths of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran and Yahya Sinwar in Gaza, al-Hayya has effectively become the group's most prominent voice abroad. Based in Qatar, he is part of a 5-member council leading Hamas since Yahya Sinwar's death last year. Born and raised in the Gaza Strip, he joined the Muslim Brotherhood in the early 1980s, the same ideological movement that led to the formation of Hamas in 1987. And for decades, he operated as a hardline political figure inside Gaza, enduring multiple Israeli detentions. But the price of his leadership has been personal. His family home in Gaza City's neighborhood was hit in a 2007 Israeli airstrike, killing several relatives. A year later, his son Hamza died in another strike. In 2014, his eldest son, along with Osama's wife and 3 of their children, were killed when their house was bombed during another Gaza war. Despite personal losses, al-Hayya has continued to rise within the Hamas hierarchy. In 2014, he played a central role in ceasefire negotiations that temporarily ended that year's war with Israel. And today, he's again at the center of the efforts to secure a truce. Al-Hayya is known to maintain close ties with Iran, and he even accompanied Ismail Haniyeh to Tehran in July last year, shortly before Haniyeh was assassinated. And beyond the ceasefire diplomacy, al-Hayya has also been involved in Hamas's relations across the Arab world. In 2022, he led a delegation to Damascus to rebuild ties with former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, relations that had fractured a decade earlier during Syria's civil war. And as he returns to the negotiating table, one question remains: can he, along with other mediators, broker peace and bring an end to this war? The Nobel Prize in Physics has gone to 3 American scientists whose work is shaping the future of computing as we know it. John Clark from the University of California, Berkeley, Michael Devoret from Yale University, and John Martinez from the University of California, Santa Barbara have been honored for their pioneering research in quantum mechanics. Research that laid the foundation for the next generation of ultra-powerful computers. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences made the announcement in Stockholm earlier today, honoring the decades of work that began back in the 1980s. Their experiments on electrical circuits revealed how quantum mechanics can be used in the real world. Their key discovery showed particles can sometimes break the normal laws of physics. They found that electrons can tunnel through energy barriers that should be impossible to cross, and proved that this mysterious behavior could also happen in man-made electrical circuits. This revelation did not just deepen understanding of the quantum world, it also led to an entirely new field of technology and became the basis for building today's quantum computers. The Nobel Committee noted that nearly every modern technology, from mobile phones to cameras to fiber optic cables, already depend on quantum mechanics. But what the 3 achieved brought that science out of the lab and into the circuitry that powers modern computing. The 3 physicists will share a prize of $1.2 million, and their work, decades later, continues to push the limits of human technology. With the award announced, the Nobel Week continues. The award for chemistry will be announced on Wednesday, literature on Thursday, while the Nobel Peace Prize will be announced on Friday. The Economics Prize will close the week on October 13. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.